So today I'm going to be doing this the first of its kind. Just going to be doing a debrief on today's sorties and the FW190D9. So let's get this party started. So we start out with A8 and a P51 heading on, which obviously the P51 loses. 4 20mm cannons versus 6 50 cals. It's not even a contest, so he goes and crashes. Then there's only one P51 left, which I have not seen yet. Still haven't seen him. Just kind of looking around. Oh, I see him. So now I make a high yo-yo. So I always try to incorporate a vertical element and use God's G to pull me back down. Minimizes energy loss. I always try to dive below my opponents just in case they don't see me so I can get easy kill. However, he sees me and he makes this really hard sharp turn, and I end up almost heading on him. So what I do is I go purely vertical, cash in my energy into altitude, and I dive right back down. Reset the situation where I have all the advantages and I'm on his 6. So I always try to dive below my opponent because it's harder for him to defend against that sort of position. He does the same thing, hard right turn, a lot of G's. His pilot's probably exhausted at this point. I try to gain some distance. There's a P47 that I didn't see when I was actually in the flight. But once again, you see he just comes straight down and he can't get those shots off. The P51 spins out, easy shot, and I take it and I get the kill. So I never saw the P47 until I come back around. I always check my 6, but if there's no one directly on my 6, I don't really care about them. They're not a factor. The next fight. So there's that P47 I didn't see earlier, but now I have observed him. I see the tracer fire, so I'm diving down in after him. I once again try to get below him, and I know I can make this turn. Excuse me, I need to change this to P47. Okay, so I know I can make this turn, so I cut inside of him. Yeah, he has no idea I'm here, and then he sees me. I get hits on, he dives, his dive is way too steep. I see that right here, and I pull off. He crashes and I barely make it out. So I hit my situational awareness about me when it came to my altitude, and I saved myself in that position. Okay, so this is the same sortie, and I can show you there's P38s over Eindhoven, which is where I'm currently defending. I see FW190A8. I saw him. I could tell at about 2 to 3 kilometers what the plane was. So I disengage and I continue my sweep over Eindhoven. I don't see the P38s. I can see out to about 10 kilometers when the situation is good, but I have not spotted them. So let's speed this up a little bit. So I see the tracer fire right about now. I see the tracer fire and I'm immediately on him, and once again I try diving down to their level, which is the deck basically, gaining as much energy as possible. I should not have done this in this case. Our heading is just really bad, so what I end up doing is I realize that and I pull up into a vertical maneuver to cash back in on my energy for altitude, doing this high yo-yo. I use God's G, pull back down, hoping to get on this guy's 6. The problem is I have too much energy at this point, and the angle's bad, and I fly right under him, missing the shot. So I'm just going to repeat this situation, learn from my mistake, go back vertical. If you have the advantage like this massive advantage, a little bit of a spin, you should always try to maintain it. So you should always be doing vertical maneuvers when you have the energy advantage. Never slow down or cut throttle. This other P38 I did not see, but our friendly here is going to be taking care of him shortly. No one's on my 6, so I don't care. And he pulls in sharply. I once again go vertical, just like against the P51. And then I see him pull up against me, so I stop my descent and I just pull to the right. If you see someone climbing up after you and they're going to get a shot, just level out and turn to the right or the left, and they will not be able to follow you. It's hard enough for them to stall climb. It's harder for them to turn while stalling. So even if they're prop hanging, they won't be able to get that shot off. So you always want to do that. Once again, it's starting to look like a little bit of a roller coaster, guys. You always want to incorporate that vertical situation. Don't pull too many G's. Your pilot will tire out. I get the shot off as the P38 is shooting at my friendly, and he goes in. So yeah, just if you look at the flight path, you can see I've just been climbing up and looping back down around. That's basically just to gain that distance, prevent an overshoot, and then I can come back in with that energy and the distance to close back in. The enemy is unable to get their guns on me or be able to defend properly or reverse the situation. Okay, so this is the same sortie over Eindhoven. I saw this P51, excuse me, on my 6 just a few seconds before I press record. So let's set this up to the right guy. So, okay, I'm in a pretty bad situation, right? I have someone on my dead 6, and so what do? I take advantage of the D9's advantages versus the P51's disadvantage. And the main advantage we have is our roll rate, so I immediately flip over and dive away, and he'll have a harder time following that maneuver. So boom, I'm already out of his gun sight. So he's shooting, but it doesn't matter because I've already rolled very quickly and dove. At this point, I've cut my throttle in anticipation of him cutting his or trying to follow through, and if he tried to do that, I could reverse the situation easily as he would overshoot. So I see that, and boom. Okay, so this is a very important moment. He's not following me, and I realize that, and so what I end up doing is I go full throttle immediately, and I pull back up after him. So I see that, I pull up after him. We're in a neutral situation now, so he's no longer on my 6. We're in a neutral position, so I've already got him off my tail. I go back down for some energy to cash in my altitude and pull harder G's. We then come back into a head-on situation, which I'd prefer as a German plane. We have 2 cannons, they have 50 cals. If he can only pilot snipe me to get me out of this position. Once again, we're in the vertical. Miss those shots, but if they hit, his plane would be incapacitated, while if he shot me, it wouldn't. So he stalls out at the top. I don't have enough energy to go vertical, and I don't want to go down, because if I went down, he would once again be able to shoot at me. I want to change that situation, so instead I go horizontal because I saw him stall out at the top, so I'm hoping I can get those angles on him. Okay, we have a friendly coming in, and another one, a P47. He gets a couple hits. They do nothing really because they're 50 cals. So once again, head on the P51. And at this point, my pilot is just so tired, exhausted, that I couldn't continue the fight immediately. So I just extend, regain my energy, altitude, and my pilot stamina. In the meantime, that friendly has shot down the P-51. And then we can come back in, re-engage with a pilot that's not too tired. And the P-47 has lost all of his energy. I'm on his 6, coming back in. Our friendly is here too, and we both shoot him at the same time. So I was able to go from a situation where I had a P-51 on my tail to a neutral position where we're head-eyeing each other, and then I was able to re-engage once my pilot was too tired. So here I want to show how far away the settings I have allow me to see. So as you can see, there's no other planes currently showing up here. There's a very important reason. It's because the other plane is 10 kilometers away from me. So I'll let that play for a little bit. He should show up here. I've already spotted him, which is why I started recording. I'm diving down, and you can see I was able to see him about 5 or 10 seconds before this, before I started recording. So I could see him at about 12 to 13 kilometers, which is almost as big as your mom. So I can see pretty far. So I catch up to him and I realize that he's not a bogey. But I can see out to 10 kilometers, and a 1080p monitor, 25 to 27 inch width. And yeah, just using no anti-aliasing, because that shit just blurs the image instead of keeping those pixels, which I use like single pixels. So once again, I can see opponents beyond 10 kilometers. I could actually see them at probably 15. So if you need any help with your monitor, just look at my settings. They're in the 334th Discord, as well as the 334th Facebook group. So anyways, I dove down from my altitude, cashed it in to 800 kilometers per hour, and I'm below the opponent. That's important because I can always pull up. It's harder to do negative G's. So here I come in and I take the shot here, just lining up, and boom, and he ends up going down. So I knew that the fight, the opposing team, or that their little dogfight was heading in this direction. So I made sure to come in at a shallow angle so that I could get that shot right there. So yeah, so if you look at their flight lines, you can see that they're going like that. I dove in, not knowing which aircraft was which, but I identified them about 3 or 4 kilometers, and then I made the necessary shallow turn, guessing where they would end up being, and I got the shot. So that ends the debrief for April 17th, 2021. And he goes in. And he shoots angrily. That's funny. Well, I guess, I hope you guys have learned something. Took some stuff away. I sure did. And on to the next one.